Up next on Dr. Nancy Knows, Scott Freymuller. He is a CEO founder of a consultant electrical industry, fire captain, and talk show host you don't want to miss. Hi, I'm Dr. Nancy, and this is Dr. Nancy Knows, your medical celebrity doctor, the talk show that brings awareness, inspiration, and motivation to many communities across our nation, uniting the country, bringing us all together. We do that not only through my 25 years of medical experience, but by bringing individuals that are experts in their field of industry to come on the show to tell us what they're doing to impact their local circle of influence. Be sure to tune in right here on this network or drnancyknows.com, Facebook, YouTube, Vimeo, Roku TV, or Amazon Prime. We're on all podcast platforms as well. Today's guest won't disappoint. His name is Scott Freymuller. He is a CEO and founder of a consultant electrical industry company. He is a fire captain. He is a talk show host. Scott Freymuller, the Knot, is here today. Scott, it's so nice to have you on the show today.
Yeah, this is the first time I've been a guest on a show, actually, so this is pretty cool.
Oh, wow,
yeah.
Wow. You know, everyone's coming to you, to talk on your show.
Yeah.
And hopefully I've gotten an invite to come on the show.
You do. Oh, of course. It's reciprocal, as always.
Awesome.
Right?
Very good. So let's talk about the Knot. And how you are bridging the gap and bringing awareness to many different modalities, whether it's relationships and the communication that can be improved in that, trauma, mental illness, self-care, mindset. It's a wonderful thing.
Mm-hmm. So the Knot is, it happened by accident, actually. So I have a long history of things, death and destruction in the fire department, childhood things, stuff like that, which I won't get into. But what happened is I realized that in the back of my mind, subconsciously, all these things were running that were affecting my life. I was still successful, still happy, still joking around, but I was performing at like 70% instead of 90 to 100, right? So when I figured that out through counseling, I did a EMDR session. I'm sure you know what that is. And it was, I swear to you, it was like the light came on. It was like looking at the world in color instead of black and white is truly what it was like. And it took a couple times, but everything changed. My relationships changed. Not necessarily how I run my business, but a lot of things in my life changed after that. And one of them was starting a Knot. And it's been an incredible journey. Everybody I interview teaches me something new. And you interviewed AJ earlier about kidney disease, and I got to sit through that, and that was amazing. I even learned about that. There's so much stuff that you can just educate yourself on to help others. It's crazy.
Yeah, I often say, be open to receive, and you're never too old to learn. And what is your takeaway from your experiences in individuals' lives that you encounter? Time is priceless, and the time that you spend with someone, you cannot get it back.
Yeah.
And I know that means so much to you. You've started your talk show. It's a nonprofit,
mm-hmm.
and you give back on so many levels. Mm-hmm. You're well established in the community. You've been here. You're native in Arizona.
Yeah.
And tell us more about how you're giving back through the show.
So the show is educational, really, right? The other day somebody asked me, like, what qualifies you to do that? And I said, well, 8 years of counseling, life, right? And I'm not trying to be a mental health professional. I'm just transferring information. We bring people on the show, tell their story, and then Shelly Netco, she does the he said, she said part. She's the she part, right? And she's been a health coach for a really long time, been a business coach, life coach. She's done a lot of things, and that relationship aspect, it helps us identify red flags, right? So you might have something traumatic happen, and we'll use AJ since he's here, but you have something like that, like you get diagnosed with a kidney disease. That's a big deal. Right? You go to dialysis every day, you feel like crap when you wake up in the morning, like he was saying, and that's a stress on you. And that's something that you need to talk about. That's something you need to deal with, and make sure, like he said, having a tribe of people around you that support you, but support you in a healthy way. And that's what that is. It's to identify what healthy looks like, and also what healthy doesn't look like, right? Like, you know, a lot of times, you know, you see somebody get mad or, you know, things happen in life or whatever, and they react out of character. That's a red flag. They're basically saying, hey, I need help. Something's wrong. Something I need to talk about or whatever. And if you have the right people around you, then they can identify that and help you. So it's interesting how when, you know, people watch the show and they come back with questions or comments or whatever, and it's all positive. It's really, really cool. Some of the folks I've interviewed have just stories I couldn't believe, right? Like I even cry on the show sometimes because I'm just like, wow, I can't imagine dealing with that, you know. But it's impactful, and I do it. You know, one of the ways I'm giving back. You know, I loved being a firefighter. I loved it, and I love giving back to the community. I liked helping people. That's my passion. That's my path. And I just couldn't do it. I'm too empathic, or whatever you want to say, or, you know, I don't know how you explain it, but I just, like, I'd taken that energy and it really affected me, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing the show and one of the reasons why I did so much counseling. But doing this, it's not death and destruction. Now I can give back in a different way, right? Like all the charities, I met you at a charity, and, you know, doing things like that, just putting out that message. You know, the feedback has been amazing. The engagement's been amazing. So, you know, we're going to continue on. So the future of this is to have a call-in center, which I won't get into all the details, but we want to have an anonymous call-in center where anybody can call in, use an app, click the number, and you can call anonymous. So, you know, like the police department, if they need to initiate any kind of counseling or mental health issue or anything like that in the department, they take their badge and their gun, at least here in town. And then they're not getting overtime, and, you know, they're identified as, oh, you know, something might be wrong or whatever. Whereas sometimes I think people just need to talk.
Well, they do.
Yeah.
You have to be present, and you have to make services accessible, be non-judgmental, and be open to receive, and provide access.
The anonymity of it is the key, right? Like, a lot of people, and men too, especially men, don't utilize those services because they're worried about being judged, or, you know, like in a department, if you want to promote, or, you know, really in any business, people are reluctant to utilize those services. So one of the things we're trying to do, or we will do, is give that anonymity where you just call in, you don't have to say your name or anything, you can just talk. And we can triage that process with the appropriate level of care. And gosh forbid anybody says, you know, like suicide or something like that, that's a different deal. But a lot of times people just need to talk. They just need somebody to hear them out, you know, and not be judged like you're saying. And then, you know, also not be identified in their organization. So
yeah, that's so important. You know, I was looking at doing some research on you and looking at one of your Facebook page and Instagram page, The Knot. And I like in your bio, you have different ways that individuals can access some of the services that you offer. But more importantly, you have a suicide line there too that people can just tap into and connect with as well.
yeah.
It's so important. You give back on so many different levels. You're great at philanthropic works. It even spills over into your business.
You know what's interesting is giving, you start getting back, right? And that's an interesting perspective too, because when I was growing my business, honestly, I think I was trying to get this girl to like me, right? It was weird. And we were in a relationship for a while. It was about, like, not accolades or, you know, acceptance or whatever you want to call it. It was just a really unhealthy way to do that. And when I became, I don't want to say when I became healthy, but I kind of did actually, right? And I started looking at life through that different set of eyes. I was like, wow, I can build a company to fund a nonprofit, and I can give back, which I always wanted to do anyways. And that's my core, like I said. I mean, I really enjoy that. And once we started doing the Knot, it was like everything just became easier, you know? And my, you know, you say your vibration or your energy or whatever, everything changed. It just changed everything. And you know, the happiness factor is just crazy. It's a state of mind, right?
It is.
But yeah, it's been really, really cool. And I've met amazing people like you, Dr. Nancy, you know, and some of your colleagues, and even the folks in the room, you know, even your guest, you know, AJ's still here, and your camera guy, and it's amazing. So I think you attract what you are, and it's been really good. So yeah.
Well, you have to be open to receive, and you're right. That what you seek seeks you back. And if you're not open and you're putting off that positive energy and those vibrations, that's not going to come back to you, actually. You know, we talked about how fear has a frequency, and if you succumb to fear, then that's what you're going to attract as well. Now, with your business, you give back throughout the community with your small business, right? It's OIB Consulting. It's a construction company that is in the electrical industry, right? It's been around for a little while now. And tell us ways that you are impacting your community through your small business.
That's funny. So I rebranded the company a while back, and it said, construction, consulting, design, engineering, all this stuff on the side of the trucks. And when we were doing our rebranding, we were like, what do we really do? It's about people, right? It's always about people. And now it says building and maintaining our communities.
That's right.
Right? Because it's about us. So, we donate to Amanda's Hope. We've had a few fundraisers this year. I had a birthday party. I turned 51 this year, right? I had this huge birthday party. And we rented out this room at Weston Kierland, and all these people came. We had a blast. And when we left, I was like, man, we could have done something with that, And I was like, everybody that comes is super generous. Everybody, has the same vibe and great people and successful and all that. And I'm like, man, we could do something. So I had a Halloween party. And I was like, okay, we're going to, benefit Amanda's Hope. And I forget, one of the girls in the office, her name is Tammy. She's like, we have to do something for animals too. And I'm like, aren't people cooler? Like Amanda's Hope's about kids. So anyway, so we did, it was like some kind of kitty cat rescue thing or something, and Amanda's Hope. But we raised a significant amount of money for Amanda's Hope, and that was really cool. So we were talking about APS, and OIB aligns with companies that are philanthropy-oriented like we are. And it's funny, we were talking about the Christmas party and all the donations that we got. And I have a truck full of donations, right? I have socks, I have underwear, I have like kids' rompers and all kinds of stuff. It's really cool. Shirt, yeah, I had dog food. But mainly, I gave all the dog food to Nancy because she's into the Humane Society. So anyways, when we were piling everything up in the truck, I had a meeting with Grant Elementary School in downtown Phoenix. So I go there, and they're doing APS is promoting a urban heat program where they're planting trees all over, and they involved us in that, so we get to be part of that, which is really, really cool. Met some great people too. And so we're at Grant School, and walking around, and we're going to put some trees down, and we were just talking about the Christmas party because one of the people there had gone to the Christmas party. And I said, yeah, I have a whole truck full of socks and all this stuff, and it's like kid stuff and adult stuff and whatever. And they're like, we need that stuff so bad. We don't have the resources for that, and there's so many kids that come to school that don't even have socks, or don't have like clean clothes or whatever, the holes in their clothes or whatever. And I was like, man, I'll just leave it here then. So I gave them all the stuff out of the truck. I just unloaded it to the office, and I was like, how cool is that? Like that's how things come together for us, right? Right place, right time. So really, really cool stuff. And, giving back is like a daily thing. It's not, just these big events we put on or whatever. It's giving back every day. And everybody in the company is about that, right? It's just no drama. We take care of the customers and respect the community, and it's really cool. It's a good deal. So, yeah.
Well, I know personally speaking how, you stopped on the side of the road to help a homeless just the other day as well. And so being obedient to that small, still voice inside you makes all the difference. So when you're talking about being present and timing's everything, and when it speaks to you, you just unfold and deliver.
Yeah.
It's a great thing.
It's been good. Yeah. It's like I said, I was always trying to figure out how to give back, because after I left the fire department, there's a big gap there, and super fortunate to grow some amazing companies and work with some amazing companies too. And it brought me to where I am now. My relationships in life brought me to where I am, so I'm grateful for that. And then, my experience in the fire service and doing all those things in the electrical industry, everything brought me where I am. So I'm super, super grateful, very grateful for the path. And sometimes we talk about it being hard or whatever, but it's almost like you have to have pain to learn, right? To wake up. It's a crazy thing, but I'm awake for sure now. And I'll continue to, get better and better. I'm never going to stop this, journey on mental health. So, yeah.
Well, when you get a taste of being awake and self-aware, and that feeling that you get of being so grateful and being in a position to give back, you want to do it again and again and again.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So tell us about OIB, and the name stands for Out and Back. Mm-hmm. And I believe you developed your logo, and how did that come to be? Because you have a story about that.
Well, the company, I started in 91. I got divorced, and I didn't have any money. I couldn't afford my house or my car. So I had a credit card with $3,000 on it. I went to Home Depot, bought a trailer, some shovels, and it started as a landscape company. So, and literally, it was like overnight. So I'm still a firefighter doing this, and I'm talking to one of the guys on one of the jobs, like, hey, are you licensed? I'm like, what's that? So I had to actually have a company name and get licensed and insurance and the whole thing. And so my sister at the time was she's a graphic designer. So I go over her house and I'm like, hey, I need to come up with a name for this company. And her friend was there with her 11-year-old son. And he goes, why don't you call it Out and Back? 'Cause that's where you do all the work. And I was like, all right. So we did. Well, as the company grew, we became more of a construction company. We do a little bit of landscape now, but not very much. I just changed it to OIB. So the old logo was a world, which was a cool logo. My sister came up with it. So I wanted something circular. I wanted something with like 4 compartments, for the engineering, design, all that kind of stuff. And we hired a company to come help us do this new brand and figure out this logo. So we have all these logos. I'm looking through. I'm like, it doesn't really do it. It doesn't really resonate. So I go home one night and I look online and I find this Gideon knot. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. What is that about, right? So the Gideon knot is a king said to his servants, hey, if somebody can come up with a problem that no one can solve, I'll make you a king. So this guy Gideon comes up with a knot that nobody can untie. Nobody can untie. So the king pulls out his sword and he cuts the knot. And he said, every difficult problem can be solved with a simple solution. And I'm like, perfect. That's perfect, right? So we fast forward a little bit. This is in like May, June of this year, and the knot started in October, and I was like, oh my God, the knot, like this knot is how you feel, when you have stress or pain or trauma in your life or whatever, and if you don't deal with it, it stays in this knot, right? But there's usually a simple way to solve that. So it fit. So the knot was actually for the foundation, but it works for the company too, right? So it's trademarked and copyrighted and whatever we do. I don't know. The girls do all that stuff, but yeah, it was pretty interesting. So that's what it is, and it's right. This is the knot. Yeah, that's the Gideon knot right there. And it's on the side of our trucks. It's on everything. So pretty cool.
So your passion is find solutions and fix problems, is what you say.
Yeah.
And then you have a challenge. You say at OIB, you guys will accept any challenge and find equitable, sustainable, and safe solutions.
Mm-hmm.
I love that about you.
So one of the things people always ask what we do, and I say we do the dishes, right? Because we're not huge. This is my money. This is my, I built this from the ground up myself. So there's no other owners in the business, and we don't finance anything, things like that. So the license that we have is a KA license. So it's a dual engineering license. It's one of the highest construction licenses that you can have. But when we got that license, I'm like, I don't want to go compete with these huge companies, Power Engineers or Arizona Trench or PDI. So there's some very well-established local companies. So we went to them and we said, hey, we just want to support you. All the crap you don't want to do, we'll handle it. Same thing with APS. Like if you guys have a problem or SRP or any of our other customers, we just say, hey, if there's something you guys can't solve or something that you need, we'll figure out a solution to do it. So that's what we do. We do the dishes, basically, is what we do. We do all the small stuff, right? And it's been incredibly lucrative. We're super blessed, super grateful. Our customers are amazing, all of them are, and there's no issues. It's really, really a cool deal.
So I want to tell the viewers and listeners that it's going to take a lot of work, hard work, to be whatever it is that you desire to be. Dream big, and just know that you are capable of doing anything that you set your mind to. It's all about mindset. If you think you can, you will. But in the same sense, if you don't think you can, you won't either. So look, Scott he's been a fire captain. That takes a lot of ingenuity, but not just a fire captain. I mean, you said it best. One of my other guests said it too. If you're going to do something, you want to be the best at it. Mm-hmm. You became a SWAT team member as well, a program instructor, maritime as well, in that field of industry.
Yeah.
And no doubt, you're continuing to grow with your business, with your nonprofit, and helping others. And because of that, you will be rewarded forever.
Yeah, I mean, it's never about us, right?
Never.
Once you figure that out, then you're dialed in. It's pretty cool. It's a really good deal. So.
Any advice for young entrepreneurs, individuals that are seeking, advice and guidance?
So I have a story for that too. So I'm out front of my house and I'm washing my car or something, I remember, and this guy pulls up in a van, and he's delivering packages, and he pulls up. He's like, "Hey, what do you do?" And I look over and I was like, "What does that even mean, right?" So he goes, he's sitting there staring at me, and I was like, "I don't know, what do I say to that? Like, what do I do? Like, what does that mean? Like, is he, you know what I mean?" So he gets out of his van, he walks over, and I was like, "Oh, he's asking, like, what do I do? Like, how did I get here, right?" And he goes, he asked me that same question. He goes, what would you tell me? Like, what would you tell me to do? And I was like, be grateful. He's like, what? I go, man, you're in a brand new van. You have a really great uniform. You're working for a really huge company. Starts with an A. And I go, are you married? He goes, yeah. And you got a couple kids? He's like, yeah, I have 2 kids. I'm like, they're healthy? He's like, they're healthy. I'm like, man, I would trade all this for that. And he's like, oh my God, I never thought of that. He goes, sometimes I'm entitled. Sometimes I think like people owe me, or, I deserve this or I deserve that. And I'm like, dude, if you change that to being grateful, you're golden. Because then all the other stuff comes with it, right? Like if you're grateful, like thank you for my wife, and thank you for my kids, and thank you for my job, and all the things that you have in life, then you can't be pissed. You can't be negative. You can't be non-philanthropic, or whatever that word is. I can't say it. But it's huge. Being grateful is like the number one thing. That's my advice. That's my advice to everybody. If you're grateful, everything else falls into place. So
That's awesome.
that's it.
Well, Scott, it's such, a privilege to have you on the show, and
It's for
really,
sure.
really great content. You're a great guy, and I love what you're doing, and I wish you the most success for as long as you want to continue to do it.
Of course, yeah. I'll do it till I'm, pushing up daisies. But yeah, you as well. And like I said, it's funny how we attract what we are. There's this whole group of people that I've gotten to know and been around, and it's been incredibly enlightening. It's full of knowledge and full of growth, and there's just, the path is incredible. It gives me the chills. Like listening to AJ talk about kidney disease, and I mean, there's so many people that have just such a great story and so much to share. So it's great to be here. Thank you very much, Dr. Nancy.
You're certainly welcome. So remember, it's not only what Dr. Nancy knows, but it's who she knows. We'll talk next week.